Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I loud and clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me 2 minutes. Fine, we'll start module 4 today. Today's class and tomorrow's class. These two classes. We'll be discussing about module 4 and two topics of module 4, that is consumer decision making and some consumer behavior models, right? So today we'll discuss about consumer decision making process. How do consumer decide? Is the voice echoing?
No, ma'am. No,
Is
ma'am.
it's clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So we'll today discuss about consumer decision making process, where we'll try to understand what are the stages or how a consumer decide to buy something. When he is deciding to buy something, how he is deciding on what to buy and what are the stages of the process, how he is going through those stages. One. Second, we'll discuss about different buying behavior. Do we behave in the same pattern when we are buying a house or we are buying a pen? Certainly not. So we are behaving differently depending on the nature of the consumption, the price we are paying, the frequency of the purchase, the importance of the product in our life. Our consumption pattern or the behavior varies from purchase to purchase. So what are those different types or patterns of consumer behavior? And what are the characteristics of each pattern and how marketer can get benefit from that? So first is, what is consumer decision making process? So consumer decision making process is basically a process with many stages through which a consumer goes while buying a product. Yeah. Let's suppose someone has to buy a refrigerator. So how do you buy? First, you have to the process starts with a realization that you need a fridge. You require a fridge, and that might happen either because of जो existing fridge আছে সেটা কামও করুনি, one, the capacity of the existing fridge is not fulfilling your needs now, two, the fridge which you are currently using has broken down several times and you have repaired it by paying high cost, three, the electricity consumption of that fridge is very high, four, you have taken a new apartment and you did a wonderful interior of that that apartment, and now this fridge is not matching with that decor, four, five. So there can be very many reasons for which you would first realize that I need to buy a fridge. After that, then you will search for some informations, which fridge to buy, what are the brands available, what are the prices, what are the features of those brands, what are the parameters of selections, what is the electricity consumptions, what are the different sizes they are available in, colors, designs. You will try to gather information from different sources, and then you will evaluate them and make a final purchase. This is basically a process a consumer follows when he is buying a fridge. But when, let's suppose we are buying a pen, Do you follow the same procedure while buying a pen? Fridge किनला बेले जहाँ procedure follow करचंदी pen किनला बेले सही procedure follow करूचंती की? Can anybody say?
No, ma'am.
No. So pen किनला बेले कौन? You might realize or you might feel the need of buying a pen when the current pen got exhausted. जो पेन टा यूज करूला सेटा सरी गला ता रिफिल सरी गला or else you are at some place where you desperately need a pen bank रे अच्छो कि कोठी जाउचो गोटे registration office जाउचो and you forgot to take your pen that point of time, or you want to gift a pen to someone, or it is teachers day, we want to buy pens to gift it to teachers. Due to some of these kind of reasons you might feel the need of buying a pen. Then certainly for buying pen you may not gather information, a lot of information, you may not do a lot of evaluations. सेठी जाइए दुकानी को पचारो भाई पेन टिके देखाओ सी गोटे बंडल ऑफ पेन तुमको देखेदबो गोटे पेपर यू विल टेक यू विल ट्राई राइटिंग with some pen and the pen which feels which you feel is most soft in writing, you select that. Right? And it is a matter of few minutes or few seconds. Right? And most often if this also happens, you ask for a pen, the shopkeeper gives any pen, you pay for it and you walk out. Now, depending on the nature of consumption, what we are consuming, for what is the purpose of consumption, why we are consuming, at what place we are consuming, depending on that, the consumer goes through different types of decision making process. And whenever he buys something, he goes through some stages. The length of those stages might vary, but he certainly goes through those stages, and that process is called consumer decision making. And this decision making process, by and large, is influenced by the psychological factors of the consumer, is influenced by the cultural value system of the consumer, is influenced by the social class of the consumers, is also influenced by certain psychological individual factors like his perception, his attitude, beliefs, learning, motivation. Next, we'll discuss about what is this decision-making process and what are the different stages of this decision-making process. The consumer decision-making process, decision to buy something, starts with the first stage called need recognition. For any and every kind of purchase to happen, the process has to start with a need recognition. The consumer has to realize a need, and he can realize this need for very many reasons. Need recognition ta vibhinna prakarra heipare. It might be a internal need recognition, it might be due to some external factors when a consumer recognizes a need. Now, can someone tell me what is exactly need? What need exactly mean? When you say, oh, I have a need, what does I mean? Since the consumption decision process starts with need recognition, for a marketer, it is very important to identify what are the reasons for which consumer is recognizing the need in his life. So can someone say what is need?
Essential requirement.
Requirement? Okay.
Essential requirement.
Essential requirements. Okay. Any other opinion other than this? See, every individual has two states of existence, right? One is called actual state and one is called expected state or aspirational state. Actual state is defined by what I possess, what I own, what I have. Actual state ta amo pakare jaha achi, it is defined, actual state is defined by those possessions. Expected state is defined by our aspirations or desire. Ame jaha desire karuchu kimba jaha karibaku chahuchu, consume karibaku chahuchu, that is a desire expected state. And whenever there is a gap between your actual state and expected state, that gap is called need. You feel deprived of certain things. When actual state and expected state don't match, then you feel deprived of certain things. That felt deprivation is called need. So for a marketer, it is very important to understand that consumer can have naturally expected state of existence. ସବୁ consumer करो किसी desires थिबो expected state of existence थिबो. Like let's suppose for example I have expected state मोर गोटे घरटे थाउ. Is the expected state. मोर rented house रे रोजी मोर गोटे घर थिबो. निजर घर थिबो. This is the expected state. Actual state is I am staying in a rented house. Now there is a gap between these two. These two are not matching. I am feeling deprived of not having my own house, and that is a need. It is expected state ta naturally exist karuche, but there can be certain areas jodi expected state exist karuni. The marketer can create that expected state through marketing communication. When Oriental Insurance, like, do you ever feel घरे बसी कि कहीं आमे भाभी मोर accident हे जिवो? No, we will not. But when Oriental Insurance communicate in their advertisement that someone was can meet a accident anytime on the road and shows a story which relates to my life, then I might develop a expected state. Yes, this might happen to me. And when that expected state would be created, then I'll feel deprived of, and then I will I'll enter into the process of consumer decision making, and that will lead towards some consumption. So expected state naturally can exist, or marketer can also create it by showing concept stories in the marketing communication where consumer can relate themselves to those stories and can realize that yes, this can be a expected state for me. Right? Recently something happened, like for example, our ghar fan ta kharab hoigala, so we purchased a new fan, and the shopkeeper told us that there are fans nowadays available in the market or in my store which can be operated with remote controlled fan. Right? Now we bought one and we installed it. What is the benefit of having a fan which can be controlled with a remote? To change the mode of the speed of the fan, to switch on the fan, to switch off the fan or switch off the fan, you necessarily need not to move to the switch panel. जोटी भी बसिकी सेटा रिमोट रे ऑपरेट करियो. If you are lying down on the bed, you can switch the modes of the fan. You can change the speed of the fan. You can switch on, switch it off by using that remote controller. Now this is something I experienced for the first time. Now a few days back, me and my daughter, while we were on the bed and were getting ready to sleep, we were talking about अरे लाइट भी एमती आसले भलो होंता नहीं एबे सोया पे हमको उठी जाई लाइट ऑफ करबे पड़ियो. Now the experience of this fan created a expected state for light. Next time जेतरा हमरो लाइट चेंज करियर टाइम आसीबो किबा लाइट चेंज करिवार घर लाइटिंग सिस्टम चेंज करिवार किछि ऑप्शन we would be working out, we would certainly try to search for something which can be operated with remote controls. So need can be created or need can exist naturally. The process of consumer decision making starts when a consumer realizes that he has certain deprivation in life, and those deprivation are called need. And whenever a consumer realizes a need, then he searches for information. Searching for information is a process where a consumer is trying to gather knowledge about options available to satisfy his need. He is trying to get information on all those need satisfiers available in the market offered to him for sale and consumption. And while searching for information, consumers search for information at two sources. One source is called internal sources and the other source is called external sources. External sources like from colleagues, from peers, from family, friends, marketing communication, news are the external sources of getting information. Internal sources of getting information is his past experience, his existing attitude towards any brand, or some information which he has gathered in past and has stored it in his subconscious memory. These are the three internal sources of getting information. Now, after getting those informations, he will, let's suppose you want to buy a fan and or a cell phone, and you have gathered information about 15 brands. That there are 15 possible brands of cell phones available, from whom makers of cell phones available, from whom you can buy a phone and satisfy your need. Will you buy them all? Certainly not. So what consumer do? Consumer evaluate those informations, evaluate those alternatives on certain criteria. And every consumer has a set of individual criteria. Those criteria consist of certain factors of purchase. Like, let's suppose I'm buying a cell phone. My criteria might be, I'll first look into the price, then I'll look into the brand, then I'll look into the presentation, then I'll look into the features. Consumer B can have a different set of buying criteria, like he might look for the brand first, then the presentation, then the features, then the technology, then the price. Consumer C can even have a different set of buying criteria. He might look for what are the features and benefits that he can get. How is the gadget compatible to his other gadgets? Is the cell phone compatible with his other gadgets? What kind of softwares can be accessed with that? What is the technology? Then price and then make. So evaluation of alternative, in the evaluation of alternative, this is basically a screening process in which consumer try to evaluate, or he tried to evaluate all the brands he had gathered information about against his buying criteria. तार जहाँ 5-10 factors of buying थिबो, buying criteria थिबो, ता against सबु alternative गुड़ा को से measure करिबो. And in this screening process, it happens that gradually that list of brands you have gathered information about, that screens down to 2 or 3 selections. Ultimately, he will find that at best 2 or 3 brands are matching most of his buying criteria, and he can buy any of those 2-3 brands. Then he goes to the store and tries to make the real purchase. While trying to do the purchase, at the selling point or POS, point of sales, 2 factors can intervene the process. 2 factors can intervene the process, and the consumer may not continue purchasing it. The purchasing process or decision making process might stop there. What are the 2 factors? Like, for example, the first factor is attitude of others. You wanted to buy a cell phone, you searched for information, you evaluated all the alternatives, then you decided that I will buy Xiaomi, or I'll buy a Vivo phone. At the point of sale, when you reach the point of sale, let's suppose the salesperson or the store owner tells you that, oh, why don't you buy a new version of Oppo which has recently been launched, which has all those features and the price is low. Or let's suppose you would say, why don't you buy a Oppo phone with which I will be giving you a 2 years warranty. But with Vivo phone, there is only 1 year warranty. At that point, either your decision-making process may get terminated if the consumer is not very confident. If we have different options, again, let me search again and evaluate again. Or some consumer will go as per the opinion of the store owner. Point of sale local attitude, say he will make a purchase decision. So even though the consumer has searched for information, has evaluated all those information against his own personal individual buying criteria, then also the opinion of the salesperson might lead to a change in the brand preference. And sometimes some situational factors might also lead to termination of the process. What can be those situational factors? Let's suppose, for example, some natural calamity. Today I decide that I'll buy a fridge. Tomorrow, suddenly kali gote jhada tufan barsa he gala. So we could not purchase. right? Or let's suppose I get some information in the news in this budget session, the price of electronic goods is going to subsequently reduce. I might hold my buying decision for some time. I might postpone my buying decision for some time. Or else, under all other normal conditions, consumer will buy. Can you just give me 1 minute? I'll be joining. So after making the purchase, the marketeer's interest doesn't end with a consumer because the consumer has paid. Marketeer interest is horizontal. Marketeers are also keen to know what is the post-purchase behavior or the post-purchase experience of a consumer. Purchase kala pare tar post-purchase experience kon. Many strategies, marketing strategies has been developed based on those post-purchase behavior of behavior or experience of a consumer. Now, after making a consumption, there can be 4 probable post-purchase experiences. Those 4 possible post-purchase experiences can be if while by making a purchase, every consumer develops certain expectations. He expects that the product will perform in certain way. And if the actual performance of the product match with the expected performance of the product, then consumer is satisfied. If actual performance is exactly equal to expected performance, then consumer is satisfied. And when he is satisfied, he might repeat purchase the product. He might go to the same store again. He might buy different products of the same brand. He might again buy that same brand when he is satisfied. But if the actual performance does not match with the expected performance, it falls short of expected performance, then there will be a dissatisfaction. And in case of dissatisfaction, the consumer will tend to develop a negative attitude about the brand. That is the reason why marketers nowadays are offering return policies, refund policies, so that if at all a consumer is experiencing dissatisfaction, then the marketer should be given a chance to correct that dissatisfaction. When you give a exchange facility to the consumer, a refund facility to the consumer, to a return facility to the consumer, then the dissatisfaction will reduce because consumer has not lost any value. And if the expected performance, actual performance is much higher than the expected performance, you have never expected the product to perform in that way, then that is called consumer delight. Consumer delight is the overwhelming experience of the consumer where consumer is getting something which he has not expected from any goods or service. And consumer delight, if a marketer can create an experience of consumer delight, there is nothing more winning than this. The benefits of consumer delight are twofold, threefold, fourfold, or fivefold. I'll give you example of consumer delight. Let's suppose you are hosting your birthday in a restaurant and you have invited 10 friends. You had made a booking reservation for 10 people. You told the manager that I would be hosting a small get-together party for 10 people. So you please do make a reservation for 10 people. You have placed a menu or a order for different items to be served. And you have told them about the timing. You have reserved the table and you had done the booking. When you reach the restaurant or the cafe or the hotel, what do you expect? You expect that they should have reserved a table at a right place. They should make prompt serving of your food. Food should taste good. The table should be well organized and clean, and taste of food should be good, and waiter should be well mannered. This is what is our basic expectation. यदि हमें गोटे टेबल बुक करके 10 जन को डाकिचंती लंच किंबा डिनर रे मोर बर्थडे अछि बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट करछि, these are the minimum expectation, and when those minimum expectations are met, then I am satisfied. Now I am happy. समस्त कहले बढ़िया खाइबा ହେଇଛି, बहुत बढ़िया होटल ହେଇଛି, इंटेरियर भलो ହେଇଛି, वेटर्स आर गुड, वेरी प्रॉम्प्ट, बहुत क्विकली सेमाने सब आइटम हमको सर्व कर देले, and we were done within an hour. So I was satisfied. I asked for the bill, and the manager, along with the bill, the manager came with a complimentary cake, a small 300-gram cake. Because I told this my birthday, I'm reserving the table for this. So since the manager knew about it, he offered a cake, a small cake along with the bill. Now this is something I had not ordered. This is a surprise for me as a consumer. And this surprise is giving me a feeling of overwhelm. I'm experiencing happiness. Right? Then we cut the cake, and they played a music, made an announcement. We cut the cake, and the cake was distributed among my guests. I was happy. Then when I started browsing the bill to make the payment, to my surprise, they have not billed the cake in my bill. Bill the cake ta include hai. Now I am more happy. They made me double happy, right? Cake bhi dele aur cake ta free bhi dele, bill bhi hai nahi. Now the price of that cake would be somewhere around 250 or 300 rupees. The cost of the cake would be somewhere around 250 or 300 rupees maximum. And what they are getting against that from me as a consumer. Se jo 300 rupees ro mate free gote complimentary cake dele ta against kon se restaurant paila. And that was the cost. That was the cost of delighting me. Delighting means surprising me. 250 or 300 was the cost of delighting me. In return, what they got? Yes, Nivedita, you can say. What they are getting in return?
I'll again book the restaurant again for other purpose also.
For some
I will.
For some other future celebrations, at least 5-6 celebrations, I'll ensure to book the same place.
I'll give reference to my friends also that.
I'll also recommend the place to friends who are also eager to make some small celebration or hosting small parties. I'll recommend the place to them. This is called word of mouth advertising, which is the most credible source of advertising. What else? Now those 10 guests who were witnessing the process, they are now potential consumers for that restaurant. Ensured future business from me, ensured word of mouth communication from me, repeat purchases from me, word of mouth communication from me, and they generated 10 potential consumers with that. Is paying a cost of 250 rupees not worth the deal? 250 टंका खर्च करके जदि जने 3टा जिंस पाउचे 10टा पोटेंशियल कंज्यूमर पाउची गोटे कंज्यूमर ठू आउ 5-7टा एन्श्योर्ड रिपीट परचेज पाउची along with using that consumer as a word of mouth advertising पाउची. Is this not a very winning deal to do?
Yes, ma'am.
This is called consumer delight, and this is the benefit of consumer delight. And the fourth post-purchase evaluation is called dissonance. Dissonance or cognitive dissonance. Dissonance is basically, how to tell it, dissonance happens with, this is the feeling of dissatisfaction. Dissonance is the feeling of dissatisfaction which happens when you are confused whether the expectation has been met or not. When you are confused that the expectation has been met or not. Let's suppose तुम गोटे ड्रेस किनिया को जाइछो तमे दुकान नु निजे बहुत समय खर्च करिके बहुत समय यूज करिके यू परचेज द ड्रेस दीटा ड्रेस पसंद आसुला ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट वन देन यू प्रिफर द ब्लैक वन let's suppose tapare then also you were a little bit confused white and black and white that is you walked out of the store with this confusion and then you saw the dress at your home back and you liked it. You put on the dress next day to the office aspiring or wishing that you would be receiving some compliment because it was a very nice dress. You had paid a good price for it. You have purchased it from a good store and you thought people would be commenting, complimenting me, right? Now let's suppose when you morning you walked into the office, you met the first friend and he told, "Arey, na kono gote black tip pinche bhal laga no." Then and there, that entire satisfaction you derived out of your purchase, out of your use in the last one day. So kinila thu pindila parjanto jete satisfaction tame derive karitila, or suddenly that will start converting into regrets. And two more comments of the same category if would adjoin, then certainly your satisfaction will be converted into dissatisfaction. This is the dissatisfaction which is not happening because your product choice failed. This is a dissatisfaction which is associated with not with your selection, it is associated with your rejections. You will start regretting on now you are not evaluating the performance of the black one. You are regretting that you had rejected the white one. This is called dissonance. Dissonance is a state of dissatisfaction which is created when the consumer lacks confidence, when the consumer wants others' approval for his satisfaction, when the consumer is depending others to certify his consumption. And if consumers are having dissonance, there are very few strategies marketers, because it is not related with the product's performance or non-performance. Product ta fail karini, consumer confused achi je se product ru happy achi na happy nahi. Right? Like while buying from online e-commerce sites. बहुत समय डेलीवरी ହେଲା ପରେ ଲାଗିବ ସେଇ ବ୍ଲୁ ଟା ଅଲଗା ଦେଖା ଯାଉଥିଲା ମୋ ପିକ୍ଚର ଅଲଗା ଦେଖା ଯାଉଥିଲା ଏଠି ଅଲଗା ଦେଖା ହଉଛି. Though below every image, they clearly mention the actual product might vary in color. And whenever a consumer is confronting the dissonance, since it is a feeling of dissatisfaction, then the marketer has to keep certain tools ready to reduce that. And some of the skills are those exchange offers or those returns. And one technique which helps in addressing this consumer dissonance is celebrity endorsement. In most of the cases where consumer fails to evaluate whether he is happy or unhappy with the consumption, in those categories, celebrity endorsement would help a consumer to gain confidence, assuming that Amitabh Bachchan to ita use karuchi, Mahendra Singh Dhoni to ita use karuchi, Alia Bhatt ita use karuchi, so it is a good product. When they see celebrities using that product, endorsing those products, they get a confidence and they are able to evaluate their experience with the product. These are the different stages of consumer decision making. Next is different types of consumer behavior. So the stages we discussed, those 5-6 stages we discussed, in every consumption, we seriously or we consciously don't go through all those stages. We may not go through all those stages. In some of the consumptions, we might skip some of the stages. Like for example, when you are buying a toothpaste. Toothpaste is basically a habitual buy. Right? So, last bunch of Pepsodent use kurchi. So next time I'll purchase, I'll go to the store and straight away I'll ask for a Pepsodent. I'm not going through all those stages of consumer buying behavior. If the doctor has recommended me Sensodyne, I got a root canal and the doctor prescribed me, for some days you can use Sensodyne, Pepsodent Sensodyne. So I'll go to the store, I'll simply ask for Sensodyne and do consume it. So for all consumptions, we might not follow the sequence of those stages in the decision-making process. And the time spent in each stage might vary from consumption to consumption. Information search, ଯେତେବେଳେ ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ଗାଡି କିଣୁଛି ତାର information search ଆଉ ମୁଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ ଘର କିଣୁଛି information search process ର length vary କରିବ. When I'm buying some electronic gadget for the house, I'm buying a insurance, the information search or evaluation parameters will vary. When I'm buying a insurance policy and a holiday package, the process will vary. Now, with all our types of consumptions we do, we can categorize the decision-making behavior or decision-making process into 4 types. This division of decision-making process into 4 types are based on 2 factors. One is brand difference, how the brands in a category are different from each other. And second is how much I'm involved in the consumption process. So when products are infrequently purchased, घर मु गोटे घर किणिले 10 वर्ष 15 वर्ष परे हुए तो आ गोटे घर किणिले गोटे कार किणिले 10 वर्ष 7 वर्ष 8 वर्ष परे मु आ गोटे कार किणिबे. These are infrequent consumptions. So whenever a consumer does infrequent consumptions or he is paying a high price, then his involvement will be high. On the contrary, in other cases, his involvement in the consumption process will be low. Similarly, there are categories where the brands look alike. Brand, jete guda brand se category re thibo, tanko bhitere besi difference no thibo. Toothpaste, there is very minimum differences among brands. But there would be even again categories, each brand would be highly different from others. There will be significant difference between the brands. So in cases where there is significant difference between brands, when you are buying one brand, you are rejecting few brands. You are not only rejecting those few brands, you are also rejecting the benefit of those brands. So in those cases where the products or the brands are quite different from each other, consumer gets highly involved in the buying process, assuming that his rejection should not be a rejection of very good benefits. ମୁଁ ଯଦି product reject କରୁଛି ମୁଁ ଖାଲି product ଟାକୁ reject କରୁନି ମୁଁ ତା benefits ଗୁଡ଼ା ବି reject କରୁଛି. जो benefits select करची rejection गुड़ा जेमती ताठू अधिका beneficial न हेतु to ensure that he gets involved in the buying process. So the 4 types of buying behavior based on 2 parameters. One is brand differences. Second is involvement of a consumer. The 4 types of behavior are complex buying behavior, variety seeking buying behavior, dissonance reducing buying behavior, and habitual buying behavior. Complex buying behavior, it is a behavior which is shown when the consumer is buying products very infrequently. जो product है किणुची for a longer period of time. He will not make a repeat purchase in that category very soon. When the price he is paying for the product is high. When the product is a very important aspect of his life or his consumption. In these 3 cases, a consumer shows a complex buying behavior. Like for example, buying a house, buying an insurance policy, buying a health insurance, buying properties, buying machineries. This consumption process follows a complex buying behavior. And in complex buying behavior, the consumers spend a lot of time to make the buying decision. He makes a very elaborate analysis of or evaluation of the alternatives. He do a intense information search, try to get information on almost all brands available in the market. And it is shown towards categories where each brand is quite different from the other. If you are buying one brand, You are buying the benefits of the brand and you are rejecting the benefits of other brands which you are not buying. That is called complex buying behavior. Just opposite of complex buying behavior is habitual buying behavior. Habitual buying behavior is shown towards consumptions which we do on a routine basis, which we make frequent repeat purchases. We almost buy it every day or alternate day or once in a week or once in a fortnight or twice in a month. बहुत frequently जो product गुड़ा का हमें किनो, and when we frequently buy it, that brand becomes our habit. For example, salt, atta, toothpaste. This we show habitual buying behavior towards this kind of different consumptions. And these are basically shown towards categories where brands are not very different from each other. They are alike. Whether you are buying Annapurna salt, you are buying Tata salt, does not matter. The price of those products, since the price of those products are very low, so consumer is less involved in the buying process. Over a period of consumption, those brand becomes his habit. The moment he walks to the store, he asks for the brand. If he is getting the brand, fine, or he can settle down with a substitute very easily because brands are not different from each other. They are real substitute of each other. Habitual buying behavior decisions are made very quickly and those decisions are followed over a long period of time. Unless until you have a very bad experience due to some reason. The product बहुत बड़ा bad experience you will change the brand or else you will continue using that brand. This is called habitual buying behavior. Now there are certain categories where the products are not very high priced. The products are neither frequently purchased nor very infrequently purchased. You buy them every month or maybe in a 2 months. And the brands available in these categories are very different from each other. Like for example, perfume. When someone is buying a perfume, every time you buy, you want to, it is a human tendency of the consumer. He wants to taste a new variety. He wants to experience a new brand. He wants to experience a new smell. This is called variety seeking buying behavior. There are certain categories where because of the moderate or low price, consumer is less involved, but since the brands are quite different from each other, every time the consumer buy it, he wants to buy a different brand. So in these categories, consumer don't show any brand loyalty and cannot use a brand for more than 2-3 purchases. He will change and he will buy something else. Most of the lifestyle consumption comes in this category where we consume something to showcase our life. We don't hook on to one brand or one consumption, fixed consumption. We try to bring in variety in our consumption. Dining out, for example, dining out, बाहर जाएंगे restaurants से खाइबा. Even if one restaurant you like very much, the food is good, the prices are good, suits your affordability, everything is nice, then also you cannot go to that place again and again and again and again for 100 times. Since we have many options in the city, this is a human tendency. We would always prefer to change our option and experience other brands available in the market. This is called variety seeking buying behavior. And in variety seeking buying behavior, consumers spend a lot of time in information search and evaluation of alternatives. Since there are many options available, he needs to gather information. And since they are different from each other, every restaurant is different from each other, there is a significant difference between the brands. He needs to evaluate them. Make a logical evaluation before making a selection. And the fourth type of buying behavior is called dissonance reducing buying behavior. Dissonance reducing buying behavior is shown towards products which are, you can say, high priced, but brands are quite similar to each other. Like for example, when you are buying a scooter, let's suppose you are buying a scooter, you are buying a camera, you are buying a mobile phone. In those categories, you are paying either a moderate price or a high price. But the brands look almost alike. There are few differences between the brands. If you try to differentiate mobile phones of Oppo and cellular phones of Vivo, you won't find many significant difference among those brands. If you are trying to buy a camera, there are different brands available in the market. You won't find a significant difference between them. So when brands are very alike, they act as real replacement of each other. A किनिले जहाँ benefit मिलिबो, B किनिले भी सेया benefit मिलिबो. ସେଇଥିରେ ବହୁତ chance ଅଛି consumer getting confused after making a purchase whether he is happy with the purchase or not. ସେଇ case ରେ କଣ ହବ consumer ବହୁତ confused ହେଇଯାଏ. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦିଟାଙ୍କ product ର same benefit ଅଛି. ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ କିଛି difference ନାହିଁ. ଆଉ consumer reasonably ଗୋଟେ moderate କିମ୍ବା high price pay କରୁଛି. So there is every chance he will get confused and he will fail to evaluate his experience. ସେ experience ପାଉଛି କିନ୍ତୁ ସେ ନିଜେ evaluate କରିପାରୁନି whether he is happy or unhappy. That is called dissonance reducing buying behavior. And that happens when you buy dresses, when you buy jewelry. And that is the reason why this trial rooms has been offered at marketplaces. Consumer is given an option of touching the products, wearing those products, putting it on. Gadi case there is an option of test driving, giving a test drive to a consumer, which will help in reducing that confusion in the consumer's mind. So these are the 4 types of buying behavior. And we'll continue with the models tomorrow. Anybody wants to ask anything? Any question? So should we end the class now?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night. We'll meet tomorrow.